Traveling through hyperspace ain't like Dustin Crop's boy. Welcome back, everybody. Here we are with hopefully the final part of issue 56. And in this part, we're going to be putting on some details. Before we can put on these details, I need to get these details painted to match the rest of the color. So what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and get all these cut out, trimmed up, and all that cleaned, and then I'll begin the painting process. There's one of these, I think maybe this one, that I'm not 100, actually it might be one of these here, actually. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to paint it base color or there's like a bluish gray that goes on. I'll show you which part here. So this part goes on on these here. So this one specifically, it actually needs to be like this bluish gray, and I'll share a photo there where, so for whatever reason, it's like stands out as if it was been recently replaced or something. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that, but I don't, like I said, I don't remember if this piping here needs to be done. So I'll have to look at that image as well and figure that out. These I put together a while ago. Now we get to paint them, so I'll get all these painted up and we'll get them attached. So I'll see you back when we're ready to do that. Actually, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'll go ahead and trim all these off real quick and you can watch. Commence hyperspace. There we go. We have them all cut out. We'll go ahead and get them cleaned up a little bit, and then we'll be ready to get the primer on and all that kind of stuff. All right. So all these parts, I'm going to go ahead and get them washed up. These have been washed, so I don't have to worry about those. Actually, those have been washed as well. So I'll wash these ones up, and then I'll go get them primed, and we'll get them painted. See you back in a few. Welcome back, everybody. So here we are. We've completed painting all of our smaller pieces, and you can see all those here. I've gone through, and as best I can see, I've cleaned up all of the pieces where it's going to be glued. Some of them, like this one, I actually masked it in place, but then I had to clean these pieces here. So they'll be ready to glue in. But what I need to do is clean the spots where they all get glued in place. So what I think I'm going to try, see if I can't do this. We'll see. We'll see how big of a... I want to see if I can find... There we go. Pardon me while I dig around. So I'm going to use my pin vise and see, because some of these, like these little spots here, they've got glue in them. And of course I want to make sure that I can actually glue, or they've got paint in them, and I want to make sure that if I put glue in there, it holds. So I think I'm going to use a combination of pin vise and also files, and clean up all of the spots that I need to make sure that the glue will hold, because the last thing I want to have is any of these pieces come off because the glue is not holding. So I'm going to start with the pin vise, and I'm going to just kind of see if this will, just a couple of spins, and that should be enough to clear the glue, or the paint. I keep saying glue, but it should be enough just to clear the paint there. Before I get started, because I'm going to do a little time warp as I'm doing this, I want to talk about, I talked about the blue-gray. So I went and found some different paints, and I got 3 different shades. And then I also got some regular blue and some light gray to be able to mix my own. This one is the one that I feel like matches that color the best. However, let me show another picture here. This is a picture of the Empire Strikes Back Falcon during filming. And you can see here in the middle where it does not have the blue thing. So something happened in between filming and when that Falcon went into storage, and it somehow got painted. So I think that I will just leave it the base color. I went through all that effort, and I had posted to the painting group about asking like what color did anybody else that did it, what color did they use, and all that kind of stuff. And I was told by several people that that blue must be from a part that got replaced. Now the question would be, why did they replace the part, and then paint it blue and not back the original color? So I don't know why that is. As a result, I'm going to leave it that way. If I happen to find out later that it was supposed to be blue, I'll have to paint it at that time. Either I'll do it by hand, or I will or if I don't do it by hand, I'll figure out how I can mask it. Odds are I'd do it by hand first, because masking that spot, especially by the time I were to possibly figure that out, it will be very annoying. Got a little stray hair there. So these spots right here, so I don't know if you can see this, but this isn't like a real hole, it's just more like a divot. So I have to kind of put pressure on it. All right, I'm going to continue cleaning up all these spots, and we'll just do a little time warp. So here we go. First, let's make it so you're looking at more than just my hand. All right. Okay, so I got all those cleaned up. Learned my lesson. I will definitely make sure these don't get painted on the top. I've got these pieces here that need to get glued in. So I'm going to work my way, start here and work my way that way. It actually goes like this, which means I'm going to have to paint this. This side doesn't have near the detail. I don't know why that would be. But you can see on the legs how they're angled. That's the only way it's going to sit in here properly. And there's a pin right there. So I'm going to go paint this real quick. And I will be back to continue on where I need to go. Okay, so I have that painted. I've flipped the ship around. And we're going to be working on some parts right here. I'm going to flip it back around and we'll do those pipes there. And then we'll have to wait for that last piece to get done. But that's okay because I'm going to touch these up. So let's flip this around. Okay, so the only part we're missing is this here. Once that's dry, we can get that glued into place. Everything else is glued and tight, so that's good. As I mentioned, I'm going to touch these up because I'll show pictures here where these are significantly lighter. They're far too dark, so they need to get lightened up. The recommendations that they had in the book or the magazine was not accurate. Didn't really fit what it needed to be. So I'm going to touch these up. I will work on that off camera, and when we come back, I'll actually attach these because they need to get attached anyway, and they go like this. And then we'll attach this last piece, and then we'll be done here. Before we fade off into glory, I repainted some of these with some primer, and so let's just see how these came out after getting repainted. Look a little bit better. They don't fit so well. It goes this way. There we go. Helps when you put it in right. So what I did was I reprimered these, different color, left this one white. This one was white, so what that'll do is that'll make it look as if there's a makes it look as if they were kind of touched up at some other time. So that was kind of my thought behind it. There we go. So all of them kind of look a little bit different, but you can see how this white one here, it really stands out compared to this one here. So yeah, it's kind of, and that kind of matches this one. So the landing gear will look a little bit off and different. All right, we'll come back after I've touched all this stuff up. Gonna finish this part up and see how the rest goes. So let me show you what I've got here. So if you look at this compared to the picture, let me just throw that back up here real quick after you see both of these. So if you look at these compared to the picture, it's a bit closer. It's not going to be perfect. I had a slight problem with my I should have thinned out my paint. I had never had a problem with needing to thin the paint before, so I didn't. And just so happened that this paint wanted to gunk up a bit, and as a result, pardon me, it kind of got real hard to paint with, and especially doing fine lines and stuff. So that's why we got some kind of thicker spots than others. This one I came back with a little bit of browns with it. The one picture kind of looked like there was some browns. This one kind of looked like it was all black, so I just kind of went with it. So I'm going to get these put in. This is something that was supposed to happen several issues ago. Alright, so I'm supposed to use these short self-tapping brass screws. We'll see how that goes for us. Obviously, it's going to be a total of 8, one for each side, or 4 for each side. I know I can count, I promise. So let's go ahead and start getting those put in. Alright, all those screws are in. Now, what I want to do is, if you recall, we put these parts on. Well, they fell off like first chance they got. So, of course, you know what that means. We're gonna put on some glue. So we'll just get a little bit of glue out here and get those put on. Da, 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 da. Hopefully, I don't need to be able to remove these anytime soon, because that would really suck if these had to get removed for some reason. If I recall, when I was watching everybody else do theirs many years ago when this thing was new and people were doing it as they were coming out, I recall several other people glued those in place as well. All right, that takes care of that part. So, the very last part that we need to do, we're going to flip this over. So, let me get this out of the road so I can flip this over, and then we'll put that last piece on. Okay, we're back. Got this all situated. What we're going to do is we're just going to put a touch of glue here and a touch of glue on each of these pins here. And that should do the trick now. I may come back with just a little bit more glue. Sorry, I put my glue clear across the way. Yeah. What happens when you mess with stuff before you should? Okay. Give that a few seconds to set up. And while that's doing that, let's have a look at the inserts. You can just barely see that one over there. They are still quite dark, but the light parts really help, I think. Come on, stop messing with it. Let the glue do its job. Oh, that's the problem. I don't know if the glue is doing its job. It's very frustrating. Pretty sure it's not. It's a level of frustration that I don't like to deal with. But we will, because we don't have much of a choice. All right, so let's make sure we drop it on the floor. That's a good idea. Okay. The problem is it doesn't quite get all the way to the back like I was expecting it to. All right, I'm going to leave it like that with the thought that it will set up eventually. And if it doesn't, then I'll fix it. I'll do that off camera. Okay, so that's everything for this issue. That was issue 56. Everything in there. Let's just be careful while we're doing this. So we accomplished a lot in this issue. All right, we got all these parts put on. You'll notice the blue part that I was mentioning before in all my pictures, and we kind of discovered that that's not the case. So that's everything there. Issue 57. All we're getting is switches and a circuit card. The circuit card should allow us to test the boarding ramp if we put it in. I don't know how that's going to work. We'll find out when we get to that point. May the force be with you always.